Hi, this is Miss Cindy from the Alexandria Museum of Art. Welcome to another AMoA Family Friday. This week, we're going to be making art boxes like this one by Brenda Howell called A Day at the Beach from our Paul's exhibition.
Brenda's work is inspired by the art boxes of Joseph Cornell. Her box tells the story of how much she longed to go to the beach with her family and friends during quarantine. For her, making this box was a way of dealing with her feelings. Notice how in her box, the art has something happening in the background, which is the very back wall of the piece. See the ladies dancing in the sand? They're in the background. There's also something happening in the middle ground. See the houses? And then there's also things happening in the foreground, the very front of the piece. Notice the fish and the shells. They're at the very front. What else is in the foreground? Having something in the background, the middle ground, and the foreground makes the piece more interesting. Now let's get started. We'll talk about materials first. The first thing you're going to need is a box. Can you guess what kind of box Brenda used? Look closely. It's no regular box. In fact, it's something that everyone has in their home. Look closely. What kind of box did she use? If you guessed a drawer, you'd be right. Brenda used an old drawer as a box for her art box. But maybe you don't have an old drawer laying around. You can use any kind of box, cardboard box. You could use cigar boxes. Now you're going to need some collage materials like magazines, a calendar, some toys, any kind of toy. Even use old jewelry. Just about anything can be used as a collage material in an art box. Next, I'm going to start by painting my box. I want my box to be a bright blue. Now it's a little messy on the inside, but that's okay, because now we're going to start with our background. I've gotten a magazine photograph of a beautiful sky, and I'm just going to glue that right in there with a little bit of Elmer's glue. Now I'm going to lay my picture in and smooth it down. That gives me a really nice background. Okay, let's think about putting a couple more objects in the background. Then we're going to worry about the middle grounds and the foreground. Now, what objects will we put in our art box? Your art box should have a theme or a story, and the objects you put in should help to tell that story or show that theme. I am going to use butterflies. I happen to have some really beautiful butterflies, some that are origami butterflies and some I cut out of magazines, and I want to have a bunch of different sizes because I'd like to show distance in my box, and things that are farther away from you are very small. So we're going to start in the background with our very tiny butterflies. Now I'm going to show you a couple of different tricks for placing objects in your box in the middle ground or foreground without having to glue them directly to the bottom of the box. So we're actually going to make this butterfly look like it's flying by using a spool, like the kind that you would find in a spool of thread. But you can actually buy wooden spools of different sizes at the craft store, or just use ones that you already have at the house. I'm going to glue those with some Elmer's glue. And I'm going to then take my butterfly and I'm going to just press it on top. I'm going to get a larger spool and I'm going to put a butterfly at the bottom. Now we're going to look at another trick. This is a pipe cleaner, and you're just going to take that and attach it to your butterfly. You don't even really have to glue it, but if you want it to stay, you should probably just put a little dab of glue on there. Now we're going to take this, since my butterfly is very light, the wire will hold it up. You can use a stronger wire, of course. Now you might want to get a grown-up's help for this, but you can actually puncture a hole into your box where you want that butterfly to be. And you're just going to feed your pipe cleaner through there, and then just wind it around on the back of the box, and you're going to tape it down with a little bit of tape, and this is going to hold it up. Now you can also do a trick with a thin piece of cardboard. This one came from the back of a pad of paper, and I've just cut a strip of that. I've painted it blue, and as you can see, I have glued it. I've bent it a little bit and glued it to the back of my butterfly. Now I'm going to bend the other end, and I'm going to see where I want to put it in the box, and I'm going to cut that a little bit, and I'm just going to glue that now in place where I want my butterfly to be. Now this one is a little bit closer to the foreground. I'm trying to make sure that I have different areas filled. Now this one I'm going to glue right to the front of the box. I'm using a little bit of glue stick, and I am just going to put a little glue on each wing, and that fills that corner nicely. Now I've got an empty corner here, and I want to try to get a different depth, so it just looks like my butterflies are just fluttering away in a group. And I'm going to use 2 wooden spools this time, one on top of the other, and that's going to give me a different depth. I'm going to glue the first one down, and then I'm going to glue that second one down, and I am going to place a smaller butterfly, sort of a medium-sized butterfly, on that one. And here's my final result, a box of fluttering butterflies.
Thanks for joining us for another AMoA Family Friday. Now, to keep track of all the fun from AMoA, subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on social media. And for more fun from AMoA, stay tuned for our member portal, where you'll be able to download tutorials and more. Until next time, be kind to each other and keep creating.